Here in Istanbul, journalists, academics and writers from across the world are attending a conference to discuss how the media covers Palestine. Jamal Khashoggi was scheduled to be a speaker at the event. Let's go to TRT World's Ahmet Alioglu, who's at the conference. Ahmed, over to you.
Indeed, Adnan, this is the second day of this international conference on the Palestinian discourse in the international media. Lots of guests and participants from more than 90 countries. And as you alluded in your intro, Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist who was killed in the consulate of his own country, was one of the key speakers in this conference. We are joined here by a famous Australian journalist who is based in Jerusalem, Antony Loewenstein. Antony, you're based in Jerusalem and you are active on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. How do you feel now that this conflict is not on front pages? The Palestinian cause is not anymore a headline. Is it because of the Palestinian rhetoric? Is it because of the tumultuous environment that we're living at with different hot stories?
I think it's partly that. I mean, I started writing about this in 2003. I'm Jewish, and for me, I became involved because I was outraged by how the mainstream Jewish community defended the occupation in Palestine, but I was someone who opposed it, and that got me interested as a journalist and as a writer. I think why Palestine now in 2018 is less of a focus in the media is partly because the Middle East is on fire. Syria, Yemen, elsewhere, and the Palestinian issue, although bad, is not as bad as Yemen and Syria. I think also there's a degree of fatigue, a sense that's been going on for so long. And I think also there is a sense that the international, many in the media too often view it as two equal sides. There's the Israeli side and the Palestinian side. Why can't they just get along? When in fact the power dynamic, of course, is very different. Israel controls the power and the Palestinians do not. And the Palestinian groups themselves are divided, the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, which of course is what Israel has wanted. So there's many reasons. I think in international community, though, support for Palestine, in fact, is increasing. So that's at least some sign of hope, but politically not so much.
Don't you think that Israel is right when it presents itself as the only democracy in the Middle East? It is a democracy when you compare with these autocratic regimes in the region killing their own people. Don't you think so?
It's not Saudi Arabia, true, but Israel's not a democracy when millions of people under its control are under occupation. So if you're Jewish, it's a democracy, an imperfect one. If you're an Arab Palestinian living in the Gaza or the West Bank, your life is controlled by Israel. That's by definition not democratic. So when Israel says that, yes, compared to, say, Saudi Arabia or, say, Syria, there's more openness, fine. But it's not a democracy in any kind of internationally accepted way. Israel likes to say that to prove that it's a legitimate country and therefore should be respected. But in fact, when you have millions of its citizens, or people who they claim to control and do control, Palestinians, you're not a democracy. And I think increasingly many people realize that if you occupy people for decades, as Israel has done, 50 years plus, you can't call yourself a democracy.
Antony, lots of the speakers here and, like intellectuals speaking about Israel as an apartheid state. And do you think this is a hyperbole? They're over-exaggerating that Israel practices amount to apartheid practices happening, years ago in South Africa?
Apartheid is a term often that's used, and it's not actually just a rhetorical word, it actually has a legal basis. And in fact, in many ways, yes, Israel commits apartheid because it discriminates on racial basis. So if you are Jewish, you have full rights. If you're an Arab within Israel itself, you actually also have more rights. If you're Palestinian, though, in the West Bank or Gaza, you do not. You're under occupation. So apartheid is not just a rhetorical word. It's in fact a legitimate term to use under international law.
So as a Jewish living in Jerusalem, don't you feel happy with this Jewish nation state, the new law?
I oppose it 110%.
Why?
I might be Jewish, but I am anti-Zionist, so I don't support Israel as a Jewish state. And the new nation-state law, in fact, essentially puts Jews at the top of the pile. So if you are non-Jewish, if you are Palestinian, if you are others, you are lower in the pecking order. And that, to me, is undemocratic. And in fact, it challenges this idea that Israel is a democracy at all, which it's not.
Thank you, Andre. Very interesting talking to you. So lots of things happening here. A very interesting conversation with Antony, who is a Jewish journalist based in Jerusalem. Lots of speakers like him. He himself was here speaking yesterday, and lots of ideas, topics about the Palestinian coverage in the international media. Back to you, Adnan, in the studio.
Ahmet, appreciate it. Thanks to you and your guest, Antony Loewenstein.